Hello everyone and welcome to Banzu classes. So I hope all of you are doing wonderful and you are super duper excited for today's session where we are going to continue with the chapter lines and angles. So what is we are going to talk about today? We are going to talk about angles made by a transversal. Yeah, so let's move ahead and see what all we had done in our previous session. We had talked about the different pairs of lines, remember? The intersecting lines, the parallel lines and also a transversal. So a quick recap for all of you with the help of a diagram over here. So intersecting lines like this, where two lines meet each other at one common point. And what's that point called? Point of intersection. Parallel lines like this, which never ever meet each other. They will keep on going endlessly towards both the sides. And transversal is when two or more lines are cut by a line which is called a transversal. Yeah. So let's move ahead and see that what are the different angles this transversal can make in today's session. So we are going to start with the lines first of all. So here you can see we have two lines L1 and L2 which are intersected by a transversal called P. Yes. So moving ahead, you will see that there are different angles which are formed over here. So we are particularly focusing on all these angles in today's session. What are they called and how do they get their particular name? Right? So these are 8 different angles which are formed when two lines are cut by a transversal. So let's move ahead and talk about the first pair of angles. What are they called and why are they called so? So starting with the first one, interior angles. So what are interior angles? You can see these are two lines L1 and L2 and in between these angles whatever we get, that is its interior. So they are called interior angles, whether they are on right side of the transversal or left side of the transversal, but they are inside the lines. So angle 3, angle 4, angle 5 and angle 6 are interior angles. So let's move ahead and see the exterior angles now. Yes, it's going to be opposite of interior, which are on the outer part of the lines, like angle 1, angle 2, angle 7 and angle 8. So these are the particular angles which we are going to talk about in the session in detail. Yeah. Let's move ahead to next category of angles which can be formed by a transversal. So here, what are they first of all? Interior or exterior? Yes ma'am, they are interior angles because they lie between the two lines. They are inside the lines. But this time they are not on one side of the transversal. One is on left side, other is on right side. Yes, they are on either side of the transversal. So such angles are called alternate interior angles. Yes, they are interior but they are on alternate side. If first is on right, the second is on left. If first is on left, the second is on right. Similarly, we can have these kind of angles in exterior angles also, like angle 1 and angle 8. Yes, they are exterior angle but they are on different side of the transversal. There can be one more such pair like angle 2 and 7. So what are they called? They are called alternate exterior angles. So this is how we define the angles. So till now everybody is clear what are interior angles, what are exterior angles, what are alternate interior angles and what are alternate exterior angles. Got it everybody? Let's move ahead and see that how can they be defined in general. They are on different vertices, so you can check it out. 3 and 6, the first pair, yes, they have different vertices and they are on opposite sides of the transversal, which is actually the meaning for alternate. Got it? So let's move ahead and see the next one where we have 1 and 5. Now this time they are on one side of the transversal but one of them is in the exterior part and other is on the interior part. Yeah, we can have more such pairs like 2 and 6. We can also have 3 and 7. And what about 4 and 8? So such angles are called corresponding angles, my dear students. What are they called? Corresponding angles. So you can see the different pairs: 3 and 7, 1 and 5, 4 and 8, and 2 and 6. Yeah. Now, how do we define them in general? They are on the different vertices. Yes, we can see this is the vertex for 3, this is the vertex for 7. Are on the same side of the transversal. Yes, they are. And they are having corresponding positions relative to the two lines. So, if one is in the exterior part, other is on the interior part of the angles formed by the transversal. Clear with corresponding angles now? So let's move ahead and see a very interesting angle, which is 3 and 5. Now this time they are interior angles. Everybody is clear now? Interior angles, the basic. Yeah, I told you that in detail we are going to talk about it. But when they are on different sides of the transversal, we called them alternate interior angles. But if they are on the same side of the transversal, that means they are called co-interior angles. What are such angles called? In some textbooks, you might see this term as co-interior angles. So, co means on the same side of the transversal. Remember, in corresponding angles, they were on the same side, but one was interior, one was exterior. So, the meaning of co is on the same side of the transversal. Yes. So, moving ahead, similarly, we have now a question for you. So, till now everybody is clear that what all different types of angles we have discussed. So, let's move ahead to a question. Name the pairs of angles in each figure. So, here PQ is the transversal, right? And the two lines AB and CD are being cut by it. But they are forming the angles on different sides of the transversal and they are in the interior part. So, what are we going to call them? Yes, we are going to call them alternate interior angles. In the next figure, if you see, we have the transversal as XY and the lines which are being cut are named as LM and RS. So, the angles which are formed, one is in the interior, other is on the exterior part. So, they are called corresponding angles. So, co means on the same side of the transversal. Alternate means on different sides of the transversal. So, keep the terms in your mind before you answer any question. So, moving ahead, we have very interesting concept now. So, if these two lines are intersected, right, we have learnt in our previous session what are intersecting lines. So, they form different angles. The first one is vertically opposite angles. So, what are vertically opposite angles? The vertically opposite angles are 1 and 3. Yes. What's the next pair we are going to talk about is 2 and 4. They are on opposite sides of the lines which are being cut. The next is linear pair. What's a linear pair? When two angles are there on a straight line and they form 180 degree, right? Like over here 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4 and 1 and 4. But then what are adjacent pair or adjacent angles? They are also 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 1 and 4. But what's the difference between linear pair and adjacent pair then? In linear pair, they form 180 degree always. But adjacent pair, it's just they lie on the same line and they are partner to each other. They are the neighbors to each other. Like here you can see, if this is a line and this is a transversal and this is also a line being cut as a transversal. So, this and this, yes, they are adjacent angles. Yeah, because they are adjacent to each other. Got it? Now, let's move ahead and see how do we get the angles, the transversal for parallel lines. So, this transversal will be forming different angles again because it's going to intersect two parallel lines. So, whenever it intersects for parallel lines, we have few conditions like in parallel lines, each pair of corresponding angles are equal in measure. Each pair of alternate interior angles are equal and also each pair of interior angles are on the same side of the transversal which are supplementary. What is it? It's supplementary. Supplementary means 180 degree. So if they are on the same side of the transversal, what do we call such interior angles? We call them co-interior angles, right? I told you the term. You might find it in some textbooks over there. So let's move ahead and see that whenever we have corresponding angles, the shape which is formed by the transversal looks like F shape, right? You can see this orange part over here. And whenever we have alternate interior angles, they will form the Z shape. Why? Because they are on different sides of the transversal, but they are in the interior part of it, right? So everybody make a note of it. These are amazing facts which you will not find. Yes, so let's move ahead and solve a particular question. Here they have given you that lines L and M are parallel to each other and T is the transversal, and you need to find what is the measure of angle Z. First of all, you need to identify what type of angles are they. Remember, they are in the interior part of it and they are on the same side of the transversal. So what do we call such angles? Yes, we call them as co-interior angles, or the angles which are on the same side of the transversal, right? The interior ones. So such angles are supplementary, just now we discussed. So 70 degree plus Z, the missing angle, is equals to 180 degree. So how do we get the measure of Z? It's 180 degree minus 70 degree, which is equals to 110 degree. So this is how we get the measure of the missing angles, by identifying the type of angles first of all and then their property. So here what's the property? That co-interior angles are equal to 180 degree, or they are supplementary, right? So this is how we get our answer as angle Z. The measure of Z is equals to 110 degree. So moving ahead, we have now how do we check whether the lines are parallel or not? We all know the different types of angles made by a transversal now, right? So to check, we have three different conditions. The first one, pairs of corresponding angles should be equal. The second one, alternate interior angles are also equal. Pairs of interior angles on the same side of the transversal are supplementary. So if in case a transversal cuts two lines and it justifies all the 3 points which we have just talked about, then we can say that the lines which are being cut by the transversal are the parallel lines. Got it, everybody? How do we check whether the lines are parallel or not? Just by these 3 points. So moving ahead, we are going to summarize now what all we had done in today's session. We had talked about the different angles made by a transversal for intersecting lines and also parallel lines, and how do we check whether the lines are parallel or not. So this is all about angles made by a transversal. So in the next session, we are going to have an amazing, interesting practice session. So stay tuned until we meet next. Keep exploring, keep practicing and spark your curiosity. Bye-bye.